What's going on, beautiful ladies and gentlemen? I am here with a special guest. We are on the Paint Your Path podcast, and we have Mr. Josh Edwards, owner of Edwards Painting Co. out there in Montana. How you doing, my boy?
Tip top, bro. Top of the morning, man. How you doing?
Top of the morning. I'm doing amazing. I actually just went on a 48-hour fast.
Oh, wow.
Full disclosure, probably about 40 hours.
Okay.
But I tried, bro. I was locked in, man. It might have been 40, like 5, but I can't give the full 2-day credit. But I am like just so much. I mean, the energy's there. I lost probably 6 or 7 pounds just from like bullshit weight. Actually, it was
Wow.
crazy. So what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do is basically stick with the caloric deficit, and
hmm
then I should be able to maintain. That's the
So on
goal.
the fast, what is that? Like just water or what?
Just water only. Yeah. So I went to Salem and I was eating, drinking, just like, I'm doing food reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to like just chill. I was like, all right, I went crazy. So I think it just knocked out all the excessive like weight I just put on.
Yep.
And yeah, even like I ate a huge meal like off the fast and it still was down like 6 pounds.
Yeah,
It
I
was
probably
crazy.
do for something like that too, man. Because when you hit the vacation, bro, it's just like you're on full relaxation mode, indulgent mode, and me and my wife just got back from Vegas, man. Like I was telling you, and we just had a nice little run, which we really needed.
Nice.
Just a good moment, man, to just spend time together, man. Kick it with my badass wife, which was
Yeah,
just
man. You earned
so.
it, bro. Like we've been working together for a little over 2 months, almost 3 months now,
Yeah,
and you've 100% put in the work. Like vacations well deserved, and yeah, maybe we'll start there, right? Speak on kind of like what has transpired these last 2.5, 3 months. What made you want to like make the move to kind of join the Paint Pro coaching, and yeah, just go from there.
yeah. I mean, I so this is what. So it's I'm like 16 months into owning my business in the first place, right? So my first year, I came up in paint, painted since I was 18. So I'm good in the trades, and when I started my own company, I just kind of took my time with it, man. I was like, obviously, I've been on the tools. I know how to paint. I could put up a lot of paint, but how much do I know about the business, right? So I took my first year and just got a crew and took my time, man. Started going through the motions, immediately got DripJobs, like immediately found you and Tanner Mullen and just like the community online and just became a student fast. And I spent that whole first year just podcasting, I was painting, I was building my team, really just taking a good, like, slow 365 days to um, learn some of the things that I didn't know, the unknown unknowns, And once me and Kinsey, my wife, we were engaged at the time, and I said, all right, after we get married, I'm turning this thing up a dial.
Full
I'm ready.
force.
Like, let's go. So one of my first plays was, you and me met at PaintCon, and I was even connected with you before then. And I knew I was coming. I had told you the whole time. I was like,
Yeah,
brother, one thing you gotta know about me, man, is I'm on God's time with this. I'm
yeah.
not in a rush. And yeah, I think it was like 3 days after I got married, I came on board, got into Paint Pro coaching, and quickly just like entered it with the mindset of like, if I'm gonna go into a program, man, like whatever's in front of me, as long as it doesn't, counteract with my values or
Sure.
anything like that, which nothing did. I'm gonna just implement and follow the templates, and we did, and things happened fast, man. Immediately we were a W-2 based company this whole time, and we were
Hmm.
small. I had a production force of about 4 to 5 guys max, not including myself, which I was off the tools by the time I came on with you,
Yeah.
and immediately started, tracking down some subs and interviewing some subcontractors. We had a really high influx of leads already coming in, even much so to the point that I was selling my leads to another painting company in
Yeah,
my
right,
market
right.
space because I just didn't have the
And I
capacity
remember thinking to
to.
myself, like, I'm gonna kill this guy.
And I knew it was it too, man. I think my biggest concern was like, how do I scale this and how do I continue to have this really high standard for the
Yeah.
work that we're doing? So I had some hesitancy with subs, but I think looking back, like now we have um, over 7, 8 subs, over 12, 13 painters in the field at a time right now. And it was a great move, man. It definitely came with some growing pains of just like finding the people that mesh. And I think it's
Sure.
still just something that I'm constantly working in, that's like finding people that fit our culture. We have a high standard, and then also not being like a perfectionist at the end of the day and letting just integrity go to work too. If like mistakes do happen sometimes, this
Yeah.
will happen. We're going to be a company that's just going to show up and fix it whenever it does and come together as a team and figure out how we're going to stop doing
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
But it's coming on to the coaching program, man, and implementing fast, following the sub model, obviously allowed us to produce way more work. Because the
Right.
moment that I found subs, I mean, it didn't even 2x, it 3x'd the amount
Mm.
of production we were doing a month, where it was, 35K a month we were producing. And then what, man, within the first 30 days, we were producing 75. And then in September, we did $103,000 in work produced,
Yeah.
which trends a lot closer to where our goal is for 2026. So that was some immediate, just
Yeah.
follow the template and do it, even though it was a little against.
Hmm.
It's just not comfortable. It's not comfortable, and it's not supposed to be, really.
Well, I remember when we first met, you were saying like, "Hey, I'm not in a rush, right? Like, I don't mind like taking the slow road and doing this the right way." And kind of like, you were like, "Look, we'll get there. I know we will. It's just a matter of like when is the right time." And I think that once you got on and made the decision, you realize like, wow, it can happen fucking fast. You know,
Yeah, it can happen fast.
and,
Yeah.
and I think people underestimate that, right? Because it's like, well, I don't want to scale too fast because blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, if you know, like, if you have the right systems in place, right? Everything we're implementing and like kind of helping you out with, it could happen pretty smooth, right? Relatively, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you had your best ever month with us. You're probably going to stick to that, right? Going forward now that you know what you know. And
Hmm.
now you're just planning for it and just refining, right? Because growing is hard. And a lot of people, they are scared to grow. And that's the reality of it, right? It's hard to make 20K a month and it's hard to make 200K a month, but you have to figure out what your tolerance is, what your leadership can sustain. And I
Hmm.
think that the leadership quality has never been like an issue for you because you came on, you were already, I'm ready, right? Whatever it takes. And just going through some of the growing pains, you handle it really, really maturely, which is really good. And I
Thanks, bro.
think that, yeah, and I think just now going forward, we have the big picture, right? It's like it's very numbers driven, whereas before you're kind of like winging it, right? We even
Hmm.
hopped on that session that we are so fond of, where we kind of cooked everything up
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
drew the entire blueprint out. But when you
Hmm.
don't have somebody that can give you their brain as well to kind of help you plan that out, it can be hard.
Yeah.
And you stick to what you know and you keep winging it. So
I
I'm
mean,
very yeah,
I think an important thing, that really was clear to me, and I think I was already under this impression, man, but, having a coach is so game changing in your business, man. And I doubt there will be a time again in my business where I'm not a part of a mastermind group, a part of
sure,
a coaching program, somewhere where I'm constantly getting the opportunity to be a student, man. Because this is an ever learning process. You even hear that with the guys that are at the top of their game,
mm-hmm.
that they're being coached and they're in mastermind groups and they're constantly leaning on people around them that may have this side of their business a little more refined or playing this little game of inches to just work on their business and find new ways to make this the most optimal process possible.
Sure,
And that's a real reality for me is, even once we get through Paint Pro coaching, like this is going to be a continued thing that
sure,
I always have in my business is somewhere that I'm going and just being a student and
yep,
learning more about this game because it's entrepreneurship is lonely, man. If
mm-hmm.
you choose it to be, and up until the point that I really like kind of found the community and paint online, like I was on an island,
Yeah,
no one I came up with is really doing this how I'm doing this and trying to. There might be some friends of mine that have trades businesses, but they're not looking at it maybe through the same lens that I am.
yeah,
They're on the tools every day. They're craftsmen, whatever it may be, which was really not my ambition. I was trying to build systems and leadership and more kind of a sales guy now that I found my niche in it, even though I came up in
yeah.
paint. So I think that's just a like a mindset that I have with it now, man. It's just like this is something that is it's a fixed overhead, you know?
Yeah, and
Like,
you get to work on yourself in different ways, right? Um, we hopped on a call yesterday, group call with a $6 million painting business who said nothing new, nothing
yep.
that was like out of the ordinary. Oh, look at this strategy. But he was just so in depth and intentional with the
Mm,
things he did do, right? You set appointments, you do land sales and paint jobs, and you paint houses. If you do those three things, you're going to have a huge business as long as you rinse and repeat and find good people, right?
yeah.
So like when he lays that out in such a plain way, and it really came back to like working on yourself, right? And I think that that is something that you have in you, right? Kind of you're always looking to kind of increase, hey, I want to get better as a person. Same with me. So that's why it was a good pairing, right?
Yeah.
And I think anybody listening to this that feels like maybe they have it in them. They know they have a lot of the decision making skills, the problem solving, but they just need kind of the clarity and the strategy. I think that would be like an amazing fit for the
Hmm.
coaching.
And
Um,
and you're that push, man, because a lot of people it's like paralysis by analysis, man. Like you
sure.
don't you're building all these things up in your mind. If I hire a sub and then he
Yep.
does this and then this happens and then this happens and this whole trickle down effect that you just went in through your mind, which is really just based out of the scarcity view of it, you know, it's a helpful push, man, because these are things that have to happen in your business if you want to scale.
Yeah.
It's a have to. You know, you can't just cowboy it. You can't not have systems. You can't not have refined production rates. There's no scalability in it,
Yeah.
and they're hard leaps. You know, you might have been estimating houses away for 16 months
Mm-hmm.
that was working for you, but is it scalable?
Yeah.
Can
And I
you
think
teach
we
someone
even
how to do?
talked about this too. It was like, it's scarier to stay small,
Yeah,
right? I mean, we run into big problems with painting, right? Because it's chemicals, it's, doesn't go perfect every single job. So imagine, you take a loss on a job, which, we both know has happened to our businesses. If you don't have any supplemental jobs going on, now you're like, how do I pay my bills this month, right?
yeah. Hmm.
So
And
I'm
man, we
draining.
had it. I'm so comfortable saying it. Like through my process, and it's no reflection of the Paint Pro coaching. Is more of my way I estimated a project, and then having a kind of green team on it. But we
Yeah.
went way in the red on a project.
It happens though.
It happens, and the
Hmm.
reason we survived it because we were gonna do this project. My W-2 team, the team that's supposed to be the most refined and trusted part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
My W-2 team went 20K in the red on a project.
Wow.
And if I was not running 2 to 3 other projects at a time, man, that would have been like red alert.
You're questioning shit.
Oh, it would have been, it could have been a really detrimental part. Like we would have survived it, but
Did you
it
guys
could have.
finish?
Yes, we finished
Okay.
what we agreed to, and the guy was really cool, man. He wants us to even do a bunch more stuff. I'm sure he does. He got a good ass deal. uh,
Did he
uh,
ever like help you out, like knowing, hey, what happened?
we haven't got there yet, man. When
Okay.
I connected with him, he was so like happy with the work we were doing because
Yeah.
I came way under bid, and this was not something that I did production rates with. This was kind of more one of my old methods, and I just tried to fly through it, tried to go too fast, didn't
Yeah.
account for the small, minute things that really added up in the end.
We
I
didn't
just
have
connected
production
with him.
rates super dialed in, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we did have like a small conversation that you suggested that we had along the way. That was like, he knows that we're gonna do a good job. We're gonna do a
Yeah,
perfect
yeah.
job, but it's just taking us like 4 weeks longer than expected. Obviously, we're way over budget on it,
Yeah, yeah.
and we just had a small, minute, like little connection on it. And he was like, "Man, you guys are crushing it. So let's get to the end, and we'll make it make sense. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
everyone's got to make money here." So that was a good
You'd
feeling,
be
even on
surprised
the.
how many painters deal with that though, right? Because I mean, think about it. If you don't have production rates dialed in and you're estimating, this is going to happen to you eventually, whether you like it or not.
Mhm.
So, and even if you have that, right? Sometimes you just miss things or things go wrong. So
And that's
like,
what it was, man. We missed these windows. The windows, we
yeah.
had to uninstall windows. It's a new construction. We had to uninstall windows to paint them. And instead of these windows taking point 0.5 hours, they took like 5 hours
Yeah.
per window, and there's like 35 of them. You can see how it
Yeah.
adds up. So definitely, like, once again, always learning,
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
kind of taking those things on the chin and just saying, I'm not going to let that happen again. And I had an opportunity to go estimate another project for him, same windows in it. And I said, brother, I'm
Yeah.
not doing that.
You
I said,
already
I
know
know
what's
that
coming
window.
now. So, my man, speaking of like numbers, right? Because everybody loves numbers. Where were you at where you started with us? Where are you at now? And how do you feel about how you got there and what it looks like in the future?
Yeah, man, I feel really good about it. We've had a lot of, healthy growth. I was going through my numbers just yesterday while I was on the plane, and we've had so much business come through word of mouth and actual sales, and so many leads come through Facebook, which we've been doing for a long time.
Mm.
But the amount of like commitment, because to be honest, I had so many leads coming in. Like I said, I was throwing them away. I was giving them to people. Once I brought on the extra production and then felt confident, like, okay, I can sell all these jobs and I know we're going to be able to produce them. So now I'm going to just start actually trying to sell all this work that's coming in.
Yeah.
Got the extra production, got the subs rolling. We came in probably at about 30,000 a month we were producing on average with just my W-2 team, and now in September it was our highest month, and we did $103,000 in production and $133,000 in sales. So,
Beautiful.
3x
Huge.
just a couple months. Yeah.
Just a couple months.
hmm
That's
And
crazy. And
and
then,
I really had that mindset. I think that's a big thing for like someone that's coming into these programs is like,
yeah,
bro, be ready to implement now. Like, don't come in there and still have this like timid approach. Like, obviously, quality first, customers first, like integrity
sure.
first.
Always.
But the reality is that, and this was in Brad's uh sub hiring packet that he
Sure.
offered out, and it says in there are no real paint emergencies. And I think that's something to like really digest when you're even thinking about like scaling and saying like, I've really adapted that mindset of like, there's really nothing that's going to happen here. Like, I got to make sure that I have legitimate people that aren't going to
Sure.
steal or do shit like that. But as far as like, do we have to cut these lines cleaner? Do we need to do an extra coat of paint because it wasn't applied? Like, these aren't emergencies, man. This is just part of the game, and we can
Hmm.
work through those while we're trying to find the subs
I
that
agree.
we're after, because how else do you know, bro? Like,
Yeah.
you can never know if someone is gonna do the best job, do an
And
okay
this
job
is
until
the
you try them.
paralysis analysis you were talking about, right? It's like there's like, oh, one bad experience. Oh, this doesn't work, right? And it's like, guys, if that was the case, I mean, we would never do anything in life, right? Because
Yeah,
a lot of times when we start something new, a lot of times it doesn't go right,
yeah.
But the thing
And it
is,
didn't with us
there's,
either, man. Like, we've
yeah,
had we've had things happen with the subs, and I also like I had the same mentality with my subcontractors though as I did with the coaching program. It's just like, all right, I'm doing this now, so I have to allow for like things not to be comfortable every
sure.
second of the way, and that even though they're like that, I'm still gonna work on them and not like give up on them quickly, and just like,
Yeah.
I'm here, so we're gonna make this work as long as we're seeing eye to eye.
Yeah.
And I've seen that pay off with my subs too. It's like I've seen a lot of people treat subs kind of like they're just work for hire. They fly
Sure.
around, fly by night. I don't feel like that's how you're gonna build a good culture of subs. I've really just like invested into these guys, and like,
Totally agree.
mistakes are gonna happen, man. Same with
Hmm.
my W-2 crew. Like, as long as you're willing to fix your mistakes and own them the same way that I am,
Right.
we're gonna be successful together because we will work these kinks out.
Yeah.
But that's really what I looked for, was the character side.
And I think
Because
also like there's a momentum factor, right? Because if you just say, "Hey, well, I'm going to bring on a sub and I'm just going to use him once in a while," well, he's not going to be loyal to you, right?
no,
He's not gonna be available whenever you want him to. It's not how it works. So for you, you were like, "Look, I'm going to help generate leads. I'm going to help sell more. I'm going to set this up to make sure that once he's on with us, we keep him going."
Yeah.
right? That's the key. Now you
But
keep him going, you get another one, and it's the same rinse and repeat.
and this was something, that I took from another book, man. It was just like, understand the why, right? We don't want to understand our why. You want to understand the why of the people you're working with.
Yeah.
And the number one why that my subs had consistently was, we don't have enough work to stay busy.
Yeah.
That's your number one problem. That's the need that I have to fill in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's probably the common denominator with most subs. Like, if they could generate their own work and they were
They
busy, what do they need you for?
done.
Where's the relationship there? And like, that's kind of the game that we're playing, is that
Yeah.
I can get this work and I can keep you busy if you can, show up for me as well. And then
Yeah.
we can work together. So I feel like that's my side of the bargain with them, is
And there's
to,
finances to it, right? Like if you don't have a great system for them to come into that the numbers work, you have everything dialed in, right? Like some of the stuff that we kind of implement, it's like you don't know how to handle certain situations. You don't know how to break down their pay. You don't know what percentage is owed to them. You're not really sure how things should be playing out when they kind of push back, right? Hey, this payout isn't too much. Do I just give more money? Did I not estimate it right? Everything works kind of in a circle, right? So it's an interesting kind of dynamic. And one of the coolest things that happened with you, and actually happens pretty often, is you were able to hire your family on, right? And it's now a family business as you guys grow, and that's something I know you feel really good about. If you could talk about that a little bit, that'd be great.
oh yeah, there's, you hear about it all the time when you're in business, you're young, whatever, you're reading about business. Like, so many people are like, don't mix family and business. Don't
Mm-hmm.
do it. All this and that. And I understand those concerns, man, but like, the way that I looked at it is like, my come from pretty humble background, man, and I saw this business as like a mechanism to impact so many different people's lives, whether it be subcontractors who now have a consistent source
Yeah.
of work, or homeowners that now have a trusted contractor that they can go with and it's going to be done the right way, or people in my family that's like, now you have a job that can change your life,
Yeah.
if you can invest into it. And it slowly happened. Like, my mom, I was already brought on as an office admin. My older brother, is painting in the field right now and gonna get some months of just field experience and then come on as our project manager. And now I'm in talks with my pops, who has a sales background, to come in as a sales rep.
Oh shit.
And you don't even know about that yet,
Do you know? Drop. I love that.
Yeah, but that's just like, I understand the worries there, and how all these things, but like, I think one of the things that I've learned the most is paralysis by analysis is bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
I have an abundant view of it, of not all the ways it could implode my family and put us all at odds, but like how it could even bring us further together.
Right.
And I've been through so much with my family, as most people and their families have. Like, this to me is like, we could do this.
Mm-hmm.
The shit we've been through, we could do this. We can come
Yeah.
together and build a business, and do it with integrity, because everybody in my family is high character. Maybe I'm biased. I mean, that's just the bottom line for me. This is like, it's so fulfilling to build something like that in my family, something I believe my family needs, and that can kind of change the trajectory of where we're heading, and what all of our goals are in the long term.
Yeah. And the biggest thing obviously is family, right? Like that's like super important to you, right? Most people don't have that luxury that they can trust their family with this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But you get to have real structure in your business now, right? Where everybody has a role, everybody has a clearly outlined role, and they have a percentage of pay that goes to them based on their role, and they have to produce, right? And I think that when you have that clarity, you guys can literally, even this month or next month, start planning 2026, which with such confidence
Yep.
that you're going to be able to hit your goals. You're going to be able to actually have goals, right? Most painting companies don't. And then every single week, hey, are we on track? What are we doing? How are things going? Meeting with your vendors with clarity, and even having the time for that,
Yep.
is another thing, right? And going from 30K a month to now having a real organization, I mean, that's huge. That's the
Yeah.
dream. This is what we do it for. This is what we envision to build, but most guys won't ever get there, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, it's the leaps, that risk adversity there, and just being willing to like learn, understand that it's not gonna
Yeah,
go smoothly every time. You're gonna have to refine your process and take L's.
yeah,
You're gonna
yeah,
have to take L's, and it's not gonna be perfect every time, but you will learn from it. Like, and that's the mentality, right? Is that I'm gonna move at a pace, and there's a middle ground there, at least for me, man, because
yeah,
I hear it a lot in the trades. It's like this super aggressive growth, super fast pace, and I respect that. Also, for me, at the same time, it's like I'm committing to people. People are entrusting in me.
yeah,
Am I moving still in a way that's like worthy of that trust? And that's the line I'm playing with. Is how much can we grow with still moving at a really high standard
yeah.
and fulfilling our promises? And maybe that's a different level for everyone else, but
Yeah, like a
that
lot of
first.
guys think they can't grow and maintain the same quality, right?
I mean, honestly, that was me.
Right.
That was me until I started going. Was
Sure.
I was so hesitant with subs. I was so hesitant. I mean, I was hiring a lot of W-2 guys, but like I have a high standard, man. It's funny because I'm a big ChatGPT guy, as I know you are
Oh
too,
yeah.
bro. ChatGPT knows more about my business than probably I do. So I started chopping up with ChatGPT, not on like anything personal, but I was asking Chat like what it understood about my painting company
Hmm.
and how it's structured. And there was all these good things, and then I was like, what are my blind spots? In your opinion, right? Computer robot.
Hmm.
And it said perfectionism, you know? Like based off of all of the information you've given and how I use chat with like building proposals or doing this, like for some reason it became under the impression that like I have a very high standard, which I feel about myself.
Right.
And my the thing that will slow my growth the most is trying to make everything perfect my way, especially with having a painting background. Like most of my subs, like, bro, I've done this since I was 18. You're not gonna tell me that there's this other better way to do this. Like, I know
Right.
what's up
Right.
with that paint sprayer, bro.
Uh huh.
And sometimes it's not to my benefit because I see
Hmm.
things happen and I'm like, I don't
You
like
want to
that.
be in there.
But it's the commitment to the end
Yeah.
process, right? And that's what I know through integrity and through just my willingness to fix our mistakes, and I'm not leaving the customers home until they're happy.
Hmm.
That's allowed me to grow more like comfortably because I know that there's gonna be shit along the way. But
Yeah.
what I know is not gonna change is that we're gonna fix our mistakes and we're gonna make you happy at the end and fulfill our promise. And if you move with that, there's no real paint emergencies,
Yeah.
you know?
Like we just had that call yesterday, and we talked about there's everybody sells on quality, right? Like every single painter, you will hear them say, "We're the best painter." No, they don't have as good quality as us, right? They all
Mhm.
sell on that, and it's like there can only technically be one of the best painters, right? And
Yeah.
it's most likely not you. And when
Hmm.
you realize that and stop selling on that, you start to be able to grow a lot more because you're getting it 85%, 90% right and taking action rather than getting it 100% right, right? 99, 100% right. And you're moving like a snail
Hmm.
or your guys are even suffering, right? Because you are too craftsman, you're too
Yeah.
on it, right?
Hmm.
And that can hurt, right? That can hurt a lot, especially when you're ready to grow, you're taking that leap and you know that the bank account isn't where it should be, right? And in order for you to get to that next step, when painters hear, oh, 85% right, they think that, oh, something's missing, something's wrong, you're not up to quality. There's a business side of this thing that you have to push forward. I would rather be a 120% better marketer than 120% better painter,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I know that I can always improve the labor. I can always improve, get better guys, refine our process. I already messed up, but guess what? This next time we have a process for it now.
Yeah. And you can fix
Marketing,
it. That I mean, it's paint, man.
yeah,
It's paint. Like you're putting paint on a wall. So fix it. If it
Hmm.
ain't right, paint it again. It's
Exactly. The
not.
problem solving will actually get you past more situations than, you know, the actual painting of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
and
dude, I think after like kind of, I mean, we're still in the coaching, right? But like I already know that we've talked about other things, right? Like
yeah.
you are already looking ahead, which I think is most guys never get that opportunity to say, "Hey,
Yep.
I'm using my painting business for as a vehicle
Hmm.
for one source of income, and what's next?"
Yep.
You kind of got it figured out now, and it's
Hmm.
like the money's going to be there. There's predictable growth now. What else is out there? What has that conversation been like for your family, for you? You know,
Well, this was intentional from ground zero, man. Like, even though I have a background in paint, this isn't necessarily what I'm passionate about in life. I love entrepreneurship, super passionate about it. But paint in specific, like I'm not the Nick Slavic, you know. I really want to build a vehicle that impacts my organization the same way it impacts homeowners. I believe
yeah,
in doing great business and how that can create the vehicle that I'm trying to create here. So we had that intentionality from ground zero when I started it. I love music. I have other endeavors now in entrepreneurship and in this industry that I think I'm pretty passionate about now. And it's just, I think the most powerful thing that we've done so far in the program, man, was build that map,
hmm,
which was, you know, as an entrepreneur, it's so easy to get into the mist and the fog of not knowing where you're heading.
right,
Like, I know I'm doing good. We're getting good Google reviews. We're making money. But am I on track to get to where I'm ultimately trying to go? Was really hard to understand from a week to week, month to month basis. And
hmm,
to go back and now build that map that we can refer to, and are the KPIs hitting here? Is our closing ratio where it needs to be? Do we need to spend more in this marketing department to generate more leads here? Like, to have that and as a constant reference for us
yeah,
to be intentional about, this is our goal, this is how our business wants to be structured. And are we hitting on all levels? I mean, it's really changed the game with like feeling how tangible that goal is
yeah.
and how near it is now, which not long ago felt like I don't know when we're getting there. At some point,
Right,
at
just
some point
figuring
we're
it out.
at some point we're gonna get there, but I don't know when.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, we're gonna get there next year.
Mm.
It's gonna
Dude,
happen.
and I got a question for you. Anybody that like needs advice as a young entrepreneur where you were at owning a painting business, right? What would you say to them? What advice would you give to them?
Not long ago I was that guy. And man, I was like, the things that gave me so much confidence and propelled me forward was that aggressive education that I did. The moment, because I was a sub, I was a
Yeah.
subcontractor for other painting companies. And once I was like, all right, I think I want to do this. I see the opportunity here. I see all of the needs not being met. I think that I could be a solution and we could really bring something to the market space. I I just started like I would be painting and I was one of them subs, man. I was one of them subs that a company loved
Yeah, you
because
were the guy.
bro, I was 12, 14 hours a day. You tell me the number, it's done and it's done right. Don't I ain't calling you until I need my check, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I would paint all day and I would listen to contractor secrets, paint your path, any resources out there that I could just to just learn. I went to PaintCon like 30 days, 60 days into owning my business. Like that education and getting into these rooms where this mindset, these mindsets that you get through Aiden Smith, Joe Mercado's, the Tanner Mullins, like bro, it changed the game because it completely shifted how I saw this industry and how I wanted to build my business.
Yeah.
So I would just tell that young guy to just like educate yourself fiercely, and it's gonna give you confidence to make bolder decisions in your business because you're going to see so much like confirmation and affirmation of this way of doing business that's not norm, at least in my market space. Like the way Aiden or Tanner or these just characters in the community have built their businesses is not common where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, it seems kind of not realistic. Like I have to be a guy craftsman on the tools and controlling all factors of production. And I used to think like that, like really perfection myself out of growing. And I think that would be the best thing you could do, man, is just like start and learn. Don't be scared to fail and just educate yourself for 10, 12 hours a day. You know,
Yeah.
I felt like I knew so much and I still have so much to learn. Like,
Mm,
but just
it's
listening
huge.
all day long while you're on the brush. There could be someone out there right now, bro, on the brush listening to this.
Exactly.
And that means you're driven, bro, because you're double time working right now. You
Yeah.
know?
And you
You're
don't
putting
even
pain
know.
on
You
the
don't even
farm.
know what's ahead, right?
You don't even know it's ahead and how fast all this can happen. The hardest part is like leaping out of that position and starting, and then you get a couple guys and then commit to them, you
Yeah.
know? Give them like my biggest problem with subs, man, is I would work all year. I would damn near whip my back all summer, man. I'm going crazy. And
Yeah.
then in the winter, there was no one there for me. I was starving. And I made that commitment to the people that work for me. This I'm never gonna be that guy, and it's
Sure.
driven growth so much because I've committed to other people, and now you have people that rely on you. And if you really own that, you just like your back's against the wall now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure this out, and I think like just don't undercommit to this. You have to
Right.
be all into this. You know?
Yeah. They say diamonds are made under pressure, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
man. So no, I love
We're
that.
we're capable of so much when we have to be. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, 100%. Oh, dude, I'm the best six man in the game, bro. When it's crunch time, I'll
Put me
sub
in.
in, and I know I got to get this done. It's done.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, just need that motivation. But all right,
Mhm.
cool. I love that. And then as far as like, because I'm not the best marketer in the world with the coaching, I'll be honest. I post, about what I do and give some strategies out, but like, I really want to give people the understanding of what are they getting when they join the coaching. What's your favorite parts of the coaching? What have you enjoyed? Kind of give people a little bit of a sneak peek on the inside and what they can expect if they decide, hey, I want to consider it.
You know, I would say something that I slept on that I actually came to really enjoy was the community side. You know, the like group coaching calls. I think at first I was like, that was one of the last thoughts in my mind about like the value that could be there. But bro, we've had some game changing, like crazy
Yeah.
calls when it's just eight of us that's like same, a lot of everyone's like pretty similar situations, you know? Like some are ahead of others and some are behind, and everyone's like for an hour and some change, bro. You just giving game to each other about what you're going through, and all of us are like going through very similar things, and that's something that's missing for a lot
Yeah.
of entrepreneurs when it goes back to like you're on an island. You're
Yeah.
on an island. If you're not in some type of community or something like this, like who are you gonna talk to, bro? And if you don't have something like this, the person that you're gonna talk to is likely not who you should talk to.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a good resource to like, all right, man, this is what I'm going through, and I need healthy mindset about how to
Yeah.
grow through it. You're gonna talk to your mom's sister's brother who's never owned a business before and is just gonna tell you some shit that doesn't make any sense about
Exactly.
what's real in entrepreneurship. Like you have to talk to successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And I think one of the best things about that is too, a lot of the guys in our chat and our group have went through the coaching like directly, right? And actually applied a lot of these concepts. So when we get on, we're like a hive mind, right? Because we know a lot of our blind spots are already filled. We already got a lot of the same strategies. So when we get on, it's really powerful because they know if we implement this, it works with a lot of the other things we got going on. It's not just oh, here's a tip. Maybe it works in your business model, maybe it doesn't. Like today, just got dialed in popcorn removal estimating, right? The numbers for that. And I'm like,
Nice.
all right, once I try them out, job cost, and I know it works, I'm going to set it to the group, and everybody is already on, our estimating systems and whatnot. So it's plug and play, and now it's something they can feel confident about.
Yeah. And man, another piece of it too, man, is like, if you don't have a 5 guys in your life, 10 guys in your life that you're like becoming the average of, and that you can look around the
Mm,
like um not, you know, healthily compete with each other. Like
yeah.
that's why I have some really great friends in my life, and I love it because their success like drives me and mine drives them. And of course I want you to be successful, but the more successful you become, like I gotta go hard. I gotta get with my guy. You know,
Facts.
he's
Yeah.
killing it. And that community kind of creates that environment too, man, whereas, you know, everyone is doing big stuff, comparatively speaking,
Yeah.
to probably where you're at and who you know in your just personal hometown or wherever your service area is. Like, and that's, you know, I'm in a little smaller of a service area, so maybe it's
Hmm.
more real for me. But I've really used the community to be like, I don't even look at my market space about what people are doing. I pay attention
Oh,
to community and what
yep.
they're doing, and I implement that because to me, like, everyone in the community is likely like top three painting company in their market
Yeah.
space.
That's the
Yeah,
potential, right? That's the ceiling. If
yeah,
not, at least what you can shoot for.
exactly. So just use that to be like, I'm the average of this, you know,
Hmm.
instead of, I mean, without it, you know, like you're back on that island, man. And
And
who are
everybody's
you?
got to be the first to do it too, right? So, like, what you think is capable based on the top company in your area, you could easily smash that,
Smash
right?
it.
And,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be just painting as well, right? You can add other services. You can find niches in marketing or the market. Like, we have a guy that does 300K a month and he does only cabinets. Like, I mean, this is the power of having a great system, knowing your numbers, and fucking just working every single day to make it happen and growing a team. I
Yeah.
think that, like, when people find this community and what we're doing here at the Paint Pro Coaching, it's like that is the start a lot of times for a lot of guys, right? They get in and they're like, holy shit, I didn't know this world was here and these guys were doing this kind of stuff. I want to see what else is out there. So a lot of
Hmm.
guys will join, and then, like you said, hey, what's next, right? Whether it's within the
Yep.
program or what else, what can I refine? Hey, I need some help here. And they go to other coaches, maybe even outside the industry, and it's like they're networking, they're finding guys that they're finding that they can have in their life, and now they're the average of, and it's
Hmm.
so transformative, and it kind of starts with us. So I'm super proud of that, and
Yeah.
I think we've done a good job at that.
I think you have too, man. I mean, and it happens very naturally, you know. If you're like the kind of people, and I was kind of, I was telling you like, you know, how that cool that must even be for a coach, man, because you get to build these connections with like, forget myself, but you know, there's some really badass people in the community
Yeah.
that just on a day to day, week to week basis, you're just connecting with, and then once you join the community, like that's available to all of us to just, hey, what are y'all? You're in the chat or you're hitting people up direct just to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a group of all stars, man. There's everyone in there is like going crazy in their business and scaling and going through all the same motions. So entrepreneurship don't have to be so lonely. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
be so like in the fog and I'm on an island and I don't know anyone that's going through what I'm going through right now. Like there's a lot of people just in this country that are like going through probably the exact same thing you're going through. And there's really nothing, like Brad was saying, like there's really not much to invent here, man.
Yeah.
There's a
Exactly.
system, there's a proven process, there's something trusted in almost all divisions of this business.
Yeah.
You know, let me just talk to somebody that might have it more figured out than me and I'll implement what they're doing. And then maybe I can give them something I got going on. And
Exactly. And you become the veteran in the group, right?
yeah, yeah.
Eventually. It's funny because like don't have the biggest by any means painting business in our group, right? And I don't think I ever want to either. But like I've made guys a shit ton of money. So
Mhm.
like regardless of anything else I
I'm one of
do,
them, bro. I'm
right?
one of
Regardless of what else I do with the coaching and whatnot, it's like I made these guys a lot of money. I changed their life, helped their businesses get set up. And the business, I mean, for almost every guy that joins is their sole income. So imagine just getting that feeling of like, holy shit, now I can relax and know like we're good. So if anything else, I know I did that for a lot of people. So I feel
Yeah,
good
I
about
mean,
that.
and that's more motivation for the guy listening right now that's probably on the brush, man. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, you hear these $100,000 months and I mean that's real, man. Like obviously you got fixed price, you know, that's not your gross or whatever. Like
Sure.
it breaks down, but like it's life changing,
You're
you
very
know?
happy.
Yeah, it's life changing. It's empowering. It's a level up from like anywhere that I'd ever been in my life. I believed we would get here. I didn't know how fast it was going to happen, but I knew
Sure.
we would get to a place in our business that was healthy. But in 16 months, like to be one of the big rival companies in our market space, and then where we're heading, man,
And
we'll
it's
be
just the
whooping
start.
we're gonna be
I mean,
whooping ass next
realistically.
year. Yeah, next year is gonna
So,
be it. So
bro, where can people find you if they want to reach out, if they want to kind of connect with you?
yeah. So on Instagram, you can get me at Edwards2, EDDWORDS2, the number two. Um, Also at Edwards Painting Company on Instagram, at Edwards Painting Company on Facebook. We're out in Montana. We service the Flathead Valley. Connect with me if you're got any questions, man. Like I'm a student, you're a student. If there's anything I can do to help, I'd love to. I think that's like one of the coolest parts of this is so many people in this like hive of people in the industry have literally
Yeah.
just that, I hit up Brad 6 months ago and I had just briefly met him at PaintCon and I asked him about sub hiring and he just sent me all of Ellison Painting's
Here you
sub
go.
hiring guide. Doesn't even know who I am, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We met for 2 seconds in the elevator at a conference. Like, and just to get stuff like that, like this is a community that's like, bro, they're
Yeah.
just pouring game out and you should seize it. I would, if I have anything, if you've heard anything that you're, interested in through this podcast, I'm more than happy to share it with you. But I would really lean on that because these, for some reason, everybody in this like kind of space just is super giving and super willing to just share game and share what's
And when
working.
you didn't know about it, you had the opposite probably, just like me, right? When you didn't have the community and you didn't know about it, it was like the guys you knew, they weren't giving you shit.
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, man, like, and I'm not like there's a lot of great companies where I'm at,
Yeah.
doing great, having great lives. I guarantee it. But no one around me, like, I could not find a business that was being built in the vision or a similar vision that I
Isn't that
saw
the
for.
best feeling too? That's the best.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's, you have to like. That's the beauty of online technology, bro. We're on a Zoom call right now. Like, dude, you got to use this stuff and get the game because it's out there and people are so willing to just give it to you because they were given it. Like I was given so much through other people just being like, here, man. Nick Kelly sending me stuff on the weekend. Hey, text me and I'll send you these SOPs I have for this or like, and I would do the same thing.
We probably met once.
Met once, met
All
one
these
time.
guys.
All of them. Like I don't. It's kind of the culture of it because I think everyone has done that for each other. So you just kind of
Yeah.
keep the ball rolling in that direction, and yeah, I would definitely speak that into the guy that's on the brush right now, ready to take a leap, man. And I look back at it and I was so happy about all the education I did, but I definitely drug my feet a little longer than I probably needed to. Just paralysis by analysis, man. And
Yeah.
the reality is get out there, start rolling, put integrity first. You're gonna learn on the fly, and
Yeah.
and there's no real paint emergencies, man. I think that's such a powerful thing to take out of that template from Brad was what's gonna happen, man? What's
Yeah.
the worst thing that can happen that we can't fix?
And like you said, right, it's God's time and he's always on time. So,
Always.
my man, Josh, it was a pleasure. Connect with them guys. I mean, Josh is awesome, right? Super happy to have him in the group. He's a leader. He's somebody that like, man, you could just reach out to and figure it out. I think it's good conversations all the time. So pleasure. It's been awesome working with you and we're going to continue to work together, obviously. But
Yep.
my man, appreciate you doing this.
Aiden Smith, appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, bro. Talk to you
Yep.
soon.